Right. The topic of discussion in this session is going to be quite an interesting topic. At the same time, quite a crucial topic for anyone with an interest in the field of software development, as without questions being asked on this particular topic, your interviews would be incomplete. And the topic that I'm trying to refer to here is a concept called as data types in Java. Also, my friends, please to understand this is one such common concept that you would come across most of the programming languages. C language has this concept called as data types. C++, C sharp, Java, Python, JavaScript, you name any programming language, I am quite certain it should definitely have this concept called as data types. Now, what really a data type is, before I directly jump on and give out the definition of what a data type is, it is extremely important to understand why this concept called as data types has been introduced in a programming language. Because understanding the why factor behind every concept is going to be extremely important. Because so far, in my experience, one of the primary reasons why students would not be able to recall the concepts, it is because without understanding the why factor behind any concept, they would have directly tried to by heart the definition of that particular concept, which is definitely a huge flaw in terms of your learning. So the first thing that we would be doing is we would understand why the concept called as data types has been introduced in a programming language. So before I give out the answer as to why this concept of data types has been introduced in Java, I want all of my learners to give it a thought as to what do you think could be the possible reasons for this concept to be introduced, not just in Java, in most of the programming languages. So please take a moment, pause the video here temporarily, take 2 minutes of your time, think about an answer, and then come back and continue watching this video. So I assume all of you have thought about your answers. Some of the possible responses could be data types are going to be required in order to declare a variable. Absolutely correct. Data types are going to be needed in order to specify the type of the data stored in a variable. Perfect. Data types are also going to be needed in order to indicate the amount of memory that must be reserved, the number of bytes that must be allocated for a variable on the RAM. Great. I am not going to deny that any of these responses are going to be incorrect. All of these responses are absolutely valid. But trust me, my friends, none of these responses happen to be the primary reason behind the introduction of this concept called as data types within a programming language. Then what really is the primary reason behind the introduction of this concept called as data types in a programming language, sir? That is what I'm going to be explaining next. Now, what is the primary reason behind the introduction of this topic called as data types in Java? To understand the same, let us take the help of a simple scenario through which the why factor behind the concept of data types is going to be very clearly understood. Great, sir. What really is the scenario all about? Let us assume we are all working for a software company and we have been assigned with the task of creating an online job application. I am sure all of you would have come across one or the other online job applications in your life. Some of the popular online job applications happens to be Naukri.com, Indeed, Monster, Shine, LinkedIn Jobs, and there are tons and tons of online job applications available on the internet. One such job application is what you and me together should be developing here. And I'm also sure all of you are aware of the fact whenever we have to develop any application or software, we must definitely make use of a programming language. And maybe in this scenario, we have decided in order to develop this job application, we are going to be using Java as the programming language. Now, just like any other online job application, if the user is logging into the application for the very first time, the user must sign up and register in order to create a new profile. Because only and only if the user would provide all of the necessary information, our job application would be able to personalize the job postings according to the user's preferences. Now, for that to happen, as the developers of the application, it is our responsibility that the app must prompt the user to provide all of the required information. Now, what and all different pieces of information we must be collecting from the candidate? Just think about it. If it is an online job application that we are planning to create, what and all pieces of information we must be collecting from the user? Maybe I would be interested in collecting, let us say in the first case, the photo of the candidate here. Sir, it is an online job application, sir. It is not a matrimonial application that you have created. Why is the photo of the candidate important here? Let us say maybe that person is applying for a marketing job, maybe for a sales position, wherein looks also definitely matter. In that case, photo also must be collected of the candidate. Next, certainly the name of the candidate must be collected, the age of the candidate must be collected, date of birth is also another information that must be collected from the user. Maybe the email address must be collected. Of course, gender also is something that must be collected. Let us say I'm looking for a position of the hotel manager, where I'm very specific that I need a female candidate for this particular position, where gender also definitely matters, so that the recruiters can apply the filters and immediately look at the people who have applied for the different roles. Anyways, like I said, email address is also another field that must be collected from the user. Similarly, the mobile number of the candidate must be collected. The address of the candidate must be collected. Similarly, the year of passing, in which year did the candidate graduate, that also information must be collected. Next, maybe the CGPA of the highest qualification. That information also could be relevant sometimes, because sometimes you see recruiters are very specific about the eligibility criteria. Only and only if your CGPA is above 6.0%, only then the applicants would be allowed to apply for the role, in which case CGPA becomes a vital information here. Similarly, if the user has any active backlogs or not, that is also another piece of information that must be collected from the user. Next, expected CTC. Of course, this is a field that is not going to be relevant for the freshers. As freshers, you should be very flexible, very adaptable, and you should not be really constrained about a specific salary package. Whatever is the salary package the companies are ready to offer to you, you have to immediately grab the opportunity and make sure you get as much as experience as possible. This field would be relevant only for experienced individuals. If you have certain experience, you have worked on certain projects, you have a solid skill set, only then you will be able to demand that I need minimum these many lakhs per annum. This is what the CTC that I'm expecting. Any which way, let us proceed forward. The interview slot is also another thing that you will be able to select it. These days, whenever you're applying for companies, if your profile has been shortlisted, you can select at which date, at what time you are going to be available for you to participate in the interview. So that is also another information that you might be interested in collecting from the user. Next, what's grade. Sometimes you have few universities that wouldn't give out the percentage or CGPA. They would usually give you the grade. You have completed your graduation with A grade, B grade, C grade. So in that case, grade is also another field that must be available for the user to provide. Next, the highest qualification. It could be BCA, it could be BSc, MCA, BE, BTech, whatever is the highest qualification. Next, the resume. Of course, if since it is a job application that we are trying to build here, once for all, if you happen to collect the CV, the resume of the user, whenever the user is applying for companies, you don't have to individually separately keep uploading the resume for every single company. Once it is available with the application, the moment you click on the apply button, automatically the application would take care of forwarding your resume to the recruiter. Hence, the resume also is something that we must be collecting from the candidate. And I don't know how many of you are aware of this fact. These days, there is this concept of a candidate self-recording the video wherein the candidate is introducing himself or herself. It would be a very short video, maybe ranging between 1 minute to 2 minutes, wherein the person would give a brief introduction about themselves, where he would speak about his educational background, all of the academic details, the projects that person has worked on, all of his or her technical competencies would also be highlighted in that self-introduction video. So we technically call it as the video resume, which would definitely have a huge impact on the recruiter. So as my learners, I would advise all of you also, the moment you're about to complete this course, please make sure you would also be creating your video resumes, and maybe you can send it across to me. I might review it once. Anyways, let us move forward. So the self-introduction video also can be collected from the candidate. Great, sir. Like this, of course, I'm sure maybe there are 2 to 3 more fields that you might be interested in adding it. Since it is an example scenario that we have taken to understand the purpose of data types in a programming language, maybe we can halt it with these many different fields. Now that we have listed all of the different fields that must be displayed to the user, through which the data must be collected from the user, now let us try to analyze what and all different categories, different types of real world data my application is going to be receiving from the user. Once again, I repeat, it is not the technical categories that I'm trying to refer to here. It is the real world data that my application is going to be receiving from the user. What do you mean to say, sir? For example, photo of the user. What type of data do you think it is going to be? Very simple. It is a still picture. It is nothing but an image type of data. That is what I'm trying to highlight it here. Similarly, the name of the candidate, it is going to be series of characters. For example, my name, Zabi, Z-A-B-I, 4 characters, series of characters, which we technically refer to as string type of data. Next word, sir. Next, we have the age of the user here. Age of the user, obviously, it is going to be a whole number. Whole numbers in mathematics are also referred to as integers. So, see, now please do not tell me it is int type of data. That is why I warned you at the beginning itself here. I am not trying to refer to the technical categories of data here. It is just the real world data, the data that you and me are going to deal with in the real world outside of the computer softwares. That is what the data that I'm talking about. Anyways, see, the age of the user, it is nothing but the integer type of data. A mathematical term is what I have written it here. Next, date of birth. I don't know how many of you have seen it. Whenever you're using certain application, you have to select a specific date. The moment you click on the calendar icon, immediately the small prompt would open in front of you where you'll be able to select the specific date. So basically, it is going to be date type of data. Sir, what about gender, sir? Gender here, either it is going to be M or F to indicate male or female respectively. So it is a single character, it is not a string. So see, that is what I have also told it here. Email address, it can have alphanumeric characters and not just a single character, multiple characters. Definitely it is going to be string type of data. Mobile number of a person, it is definitely a number without the decimal point and the fractional part. Such numbers are only referred to as whole numbers or integers. Address of the candidate, definitely so many characters would be there in this information. String type of data. Year of passing, once again it is a date that you need to be selecting here. CGPA of the candidate, 6.2, 8.5, 9.7. Basically it is a number with a decimal point as well as the fractional part. Such numbers in mathematics, once again, I see some of you are already speaking the type of data as float and double. That is why I had warned you at the beginning here. It is not the technical categories that I'm trying to refer to here. Such numbers in mathematics are referred to as real numbers. So as of now, I'm simply going to highlight it as a real number type of data. Backlogs. I am not interested in knowing how many backlogs whether you have or whether you don't have. I am just interested in knowing whether or not you have active backlogs. Basically, it is a yes or no type of a question. Again, I see that some of you are telling Boolean, you're not getting my point here. Forget the technical aspect here. It is the real world type of data. It is a yes or no type of data. Sometimes in the job applications, you'll also have this as another field. Are you interested in PG? Post graduation, yes or no type of question. Are you married or single? Yes or no. You don't need to give any number or a string here. It is just a yes or no type of a question. Just two options available. Similarly, next we have expected CTC. You can tell I need 7 lakhs per annum. Some of them can tell I need 12.5 lakhs per annum. Once again, decimal point as well as the fractional part. Hence, it is a real number type of data. Interview slot. You will have to select a specific time here. Next, grade. I told you either A grade, B grade, C grade. Single character it is going to be. Qualification 100%. It is not necessary that you should have a single character. You can have multiple characters in this. Once again, string type of data. Resume, it is a file here. It is a document. Next, self introduction, another file. What type of a file it is going to be? It is a video file that we must be uploading. So congratulations, we have been able to analyze different varieties of data that our application is going to be receiving from the user. Now, I have a simple and a straightforward question here. Let us assume this app has been developed. It has been uploaded onto the internet, either on Play Store, App Store, wherever. The users are going to download this application and they have also successfully installed this application onto their devices, either mobile phone or their personal computers. Now, once they have downloaded and installed this application on their mobile phone or the computer, in which memory device do you think the app is going to be residing? Because you need to store this application permanently. You have got two different types of memory devices within a computer. Already in one of our previous classes of the preliminary content, I have already spoken about the memory organization of a computer. Do you think this app, after downloading and installing in your mobile phone, is it going to be stored on the hard disk or is it going to be stored on the RAM? Undoubtedly, the application would be stored permanently on the hard disk of your computer. Absolutely perfect. Great. Now let us say after installing now, I am interested in using the application. I want to use this application, maybe apply for different jobs through this application. Using the application is a non-technical phrase here. Technically, we say we are executing the application. Only if you're using the application is being executed. Now, when the application is being executed, what do you think? Do you think the application would still be residing on the hard disk? 100% no. To execute the application, 100% who has to come into the picture here is the microprocessor, nothing but the CPU. And we have realized long back, the microprocessor is not at all directly connected to the hard disk. It is only and only directly connected to the RAM or the primary memory of your computer. That means let us get the things quite clear, crystal clear and straightforward here. Once the application has been downloaded and installed onto your computer, it would be residing on the hard disk. And when you try to use the application is being executed. And the application, if it has to be executed, 100% it must be loaded from the hard disk and it must be brought onto the RAM. Only and only if it is residing on the RAM, the microprocessor will be able to execute it. Because like I said, it is only to the RAM our microprocessor is going to be connected to. Now that we have understood this fact that the application, while it is being executed, it would be residing on the RAM, I want all of my students to answer to this simple question. How do you define what a RAM is? What is the definition of a RAM? Now, please do not give me the answers as it is random access memory, it is the primary memory, it is the main memory. I'm not asking the abbreviation of this term called as RAM. I'm asking the definition, which I have already clarified in one of our previous classes. Very good. What you call as a RAM, it is nothing but collection of millions and millions of bytes. That is what a RAM is. In fact, I remember in one of our previous classes, we had also done those calculations. In a 8 GB RAM, you will be able to find 800 crore bytes. So what is a RAM? RAM is nothing but collection of bytes. That means if this is a RAM, see, this is how it is going to have bytes. Of course, I'll not be able to show crores and crores of bytes here. Only for the sake of explanation, maybe these many bytes would be displayed to all of you. Great, sir. Next what, sir? Next what means I had also clarified this fact that each and every byte on the RAM, it is further partitioned into 8 different slots, where each slot is technically referred to as a bit. See, observe this. That means one byte is going to be composed of 8 different bits. And I had also told you how the word bit was derived here. Bit is basically a short form. It is an acronym for 2 different words called as binary digit. That means in each slot of a byte, what you will be able to store here is either a 0 or a 1 like this. Other than that, nothing else is going to be stored here. Oh, great, sir, but why are you reiterating everything about RAM once again? I don't know if you have even now realized that there is a huge missing link. On one side, my friends, all of you have just now helped me analyze different types of real world data that our application would be receiving from the user while it is being executed by the user. And just tell me this, while the application is being executed, while the data is being collected from the user, on which memory device do you think the application is residing? Undoubtedly, it would be residing on the RAM. If you start using the application, you will be able to provide the data to the application. And while you're using the application is being executed. And if the application is being executed, on which memory device do you think it is going to be residing? 100% it is residing on the RAM. Now, I don't know if there is somebody who has not yet realized the gap that I'm trying to highlight here between these two things here. There is a huge conflict here. The application is being executed, it is residing on the RAM, and you're also collecting the different types of real world data. For example, you're collecting the photo of the candidate. You're taking the name of the candidate in the string format, in the integer format, real number format, yes or no. You're taking files itself from the user here in the form of the resume, the self-introductory video. But my friends, just now I have clarified it here. On the RAM, can you tell me what is the only type of data that is going to be permitted, my friends, here? Very good. It is only the binary data. But are we really collecting the information from the user in the binary format? Have you ever seen any application asking you to provide your name not in the real world format? Rather, it is asking you to provide your name in the binary format. If my name is Zabi, I should not type ZABI. Maybe I should be typing 110110. What is your age? No, it is 27. No. Please don't provide the number as 27 in the real world format. In real world, how do we deal with numbers? Integers, decimal format. Hey, no. The app is executing on the RAM, and RAM understands only binary format. So you don't give your age in the real world format. Please provide that number in the binary format. Have you ever come across any such applications? 100% no. Then how is that while the application is on the RAM, it is collecting the data from the users in the real world format, but on the RAM, the only type of data that you will be able to store is the binary format? This is a huge question mark that we have now. I hope all of you are getting the point that I'm trying to convey here. Great, sir. We understood the point that you're trying to convey. No, we're even more curious to know. Yes, whatever you're telling is absolutely right. Then how is that real world data is being converted into the binary format? Congratulations. That is where something called as data types come into the picture. This was the answer that I have been waiting from the beginning of this session. The primary purpose of data types is to take the real world data, convert it into the binary format so that it can be stored in the memory. And it can also be processed by the microprocessor, because all of you know, I remember it would be in the first or the second session of the preliminary content, I have spoken in detail about the microprocessor. Our microprocessor understands just only one language, which is the language of zeros and ones. And to process that information, it should also be in zeros and ones. Hence, it should first and foremost be stored on the RAM in the binary format. Only then the microprocessor can process it. Am I clear so far, everyone? So what is the primary purpose of data types is? The primary purpose of data types is to take the real world data and convert it into the binary format for two reasons. First reason, so that it can be stored in the memory, nothing but the RAM. And once it is stored on the memory in the binary format, only then it will be able to be processed by the microprocessor. Am I clear with this, everyone? So let us immediately go ahead, and whatever the different types of real world data that I have highlighted here, let us list it at one place. So see, all of these are the different types of real world data that we are going to come across. Now forget about the job application. I am going to open the forum for you to think about the real world data, the entire planet Earth, what and all different types of real world data you think that you have come across. Please help me list it out at one place. Firstly, we have come across integer type of data, real number type of data, then there is the character type of data, single character is what I'm referring to, and then we also have the yes or no type of data. Next word, sir. Now see, all of these four categories that I have listed here, all of this is a very simple category of data, easy to handle, easy to store, easy to process, which is very simple in nature. Such type of data technically we refer to as primitive data, simple, easy to access, easy to process. Then of course we also have the non-primitive data, slightly complex it is going to be. What and all are the non-primitive type of data, sir? String type of data. Sometimes you will not have a single value, you will have multiple values, grouped type of data. Next, as you can see in the job application example here, there is also something called as the date or time type of data. Next, we have the text files type of data. It could be a PDF document, it could be a Word document, it could be a text document. Next, we have the image type of data. It could be a PNG file, it could be a JPEG file. Next, we have the video type of data. All of these are the non-primitive type of data that we have been able to list it over here. Great, sir. Next word, sir. Next word means I want all of you to pause the video here maybe for 30 seconds and just think about it. Did I miss any of the categories of the different types of data here? I once again repeat, do not restrict yourself only to the scope of the job application. You can go beyond the scope of the job application. Is there any other real world type of data that I have missed it here? Just think about it. I don't think so I have missed it here. If I have done it so, please do let us know in the chat support. I'll make sure the video is going to be updated, and for the fourth batches, for the subsequent batches, the video is going to be updated. Anyways, let us move forward now. Of course, we also have the audio type of data. Maybe let us say some of you are interested in becoming a musician and you want to participate in what is that show called Indian Idol, and you want to send your beautiful voice clip to the judges there. Audio type of data is also going to be one of the permitted types of information here. Perfect, sir. Next what, sir? Next what means all of these are the different types of real world data. Now whenever this real world type of data is going to be given to a computer for it to be stored in the binary format, the mechanism using which you will be able to convert the real world data into the binary format, the intermediate mechanism that I'm talking about, the mediators that I'm talking about, it is nothing but your data types. Please understand, we have got the different data types to handle each and every category of real world data here. So what are the data types in Java here? First and foremost, we have got the primitive data types here to handle the primitive data. Sir, to handle integer type of data, what are the primitive data types that are available in Java? Please understand this. Just to handle integer type of data in Java, we have got 4 different data types in the form of byte, short, int, and long. I know the moment you get to know about this fact, the immediate question that you have in your mind is, to handle just one category of data, why the hell has James Gosling given us 4 different data types? Don't worry, after all, this is just the introduction to this particular topic. In the subsequent sessions, you are definitely going to understand why 4 different data types are provided in Java. Similarly, to handle real number type of data, James Gosling has given us 2 different data types in the form of float and double. To handle character type of data, James Gosling has given us a single data type called as char. Of course, it was the same in C language also. And to handle yes or no type of data, on or off type of data, James Gosling has given us a data type in the form of Boolean. In C language, it was called as bool. In Java, it is going to be called as Boolean. Sir, we understood, sir, there are 8 primitive data types. How about if we have to handle the non-primitive type of data? Please get this straight. To handle non-primitive type of data, you don't have anything called as data types in Java. Whenever you want to handle non-primitive type of data, you have to make use of the non-primitive data types in Java. Sir, what are these non-primitive data types called as? Non-primitive data types are only technically called as classes in Java. In other words, to handle all of these non-primitive type of data, James Gosling has provided us the support in the form of inbuilt classes. What are the inbuilt classes, sir? Whenever you want to handle string type of data, there are in fact 3 string related inbuilt classes in the form of string, string buffer, and string builder. As of now, I would simply tell string classes. More about this in the strings topic, I'm going to explain it in detail. To handle grouped type of data, either you can make use of arrays, or there is also a framework in Java called as the collection framework. In the collections framework, we have got 7 concrete classes. Using those classes also, we'll be able to handle grouped type of data. Next, to handle date or time type of data, there is something called as date time API. Using those classes, you will be able to handle it. Text files type of data, there is the file API that we have. So using file related classes, you'll be able to handle it. Image type of data, video type of data, audio type of data, there is a different framework altogether that is provided in Java to handle all of these 3 categories of data. We technically refer to as JMF, Java Media Framework. That is what we have. Observe this. Am I clear with this, everyone? Great, sir. Next word, sir. Next word means, please understand this, my friends. Each of the data types here are going to follow a specific format. It is using that format, they are going to convert the real world data into the binary format. What is that format, sir? That is what next you should be understanding. What are the formats followed by each of these data types? All of your integer data types, byte, short, int, and long, are going to follow a format called as the base2 format to do the conversion from real world integer data to the binary integer data here. Am I clear with this, everyone? Sir, how about float and double, sir? Float and double, the real number data types, follow a format called as the IEEE 754 format. Of course, float follows the single precision format, double follows the double precision format here. Anyways, don't worry about it. All of these information in detail, you're going to be understanding it. Sir, how about character data type, sir? Character data type is going to follow a format called as the ASCII format or the Unicode format. What really is the difference? You will definitely understand it. Sir, what about Boolean, sir? See, when it comes to Boolean, it is not going to follow a specific format. The format it is going to follow, it is going to change from one operating system to another operating system. Hence, as of now, I'm simply going to generalize it. I would say Boolean, the format it is going to follow, I would say it is going to be JVM dependent. As all of you know, for different operating systems, we have got different JVMs. Sir, what about the string classes, sir? String is nothing but composed of characters. Each character, either it is going to follow the ASCII format or the Unicode format. Either it would have the ASCII value or the Unicode value. Sir, what about array or collection classes? It depends which collections class you are going to be using it. Accordingly, the internal data structure would also vary here. So here I would say it is data structure dependent. Don't worry, when the collections framework topic is going to be discussed for all of you, you will understand everything that I'm speaking as of now with respect to this particular type of data. Sir, what about date time classes, sir? They are going to follow format. For date, the format it is going to follow is DDMMYYYY. Date, month, year. For time, first it is the hour, next it is the minutes, next it is the seconds information. See, this is the format. What about files, sir? We are talking about text files here. The format could either be .txt, .doc, .pdf, .rtf, rich text format. So like this, there are different text files formats that are available. Next, when it comes to images, I'm sure all of you know what are the different formats. Whenever you want to download any image onto your computer, save any image, it would ask, what do you want the type of the file to be? The extension. .jpeg, .png, .gif, .jpg. Like this, there are going to be different formats. It is once you specify that format, whatever format that you have mentioned there, accordingly, the computer is going to take care of converting the data into the binary format. Of course, internally using the concept of data types. Next, we have got the video type of data. These are the formats .mp4, .avi, .mov. Like this, there could be many more. Next, we have got the audio type of data for which the formats are .mp3, .wav. It is the data types. Using these formats, it would be able to convert your real world data into the binary format. So I hope the $1 million question that we had at the back of our head as to what is the primary purpose of having this common feature across most of the programming languages called as data types, that has been crystal clear now, and it has been clarified to the best of my abilities here. Can you tell me what is the primary purpose of data types in Java? Very good. The primary purpose of data types in Java is to convert your real world data into the binary format. Is that clear, everyone? And how many primitive data types do we have in Java? As you can see under the primitive data types section here, we have got 8 primitive data types, and each primitive data type is going to follow specific format. And each of these formats, maybe with one example, we're also going to discuss how really these data types using these formats are going to convert the real world data into the binary format. So don't think it is all just verbal proof that I'm giving to you. I would also give you a practical proof. We would do all of the mathematical calculations, and only then you would realize how these data types would act as a mediator to convert the real world data into the binary format. So to conclude this particular session, what are the primary roles and responsibilities of data types? If anybody would ask you, first and foremost, to convert real world data into the binary format. Secondly, it would also specify the amount of memory to be allocated on the RAM. Tell me, what is a RAM? Nothing but collection of bytes. For each and every variable, how many bytes have to be allocated? That information is also taken care by the data types. Also, it is going to specify the type of the data variable is going to be holding. If you have a variable called as num, if this variable is going to be holding integer type of data, that is also going to be specified through the data type using which the variable has been declared. In other words, these are the primary roles and responsibilities of data types. First and foremost, to convert real world data into the binary format, indicate the amount of memory to be allocated on the RAM, specify the type of data stored in a variable. Great. I would insist all of my learners, maybe especially the last bit of this particular session, if it is possible for you to rewind back maybe 10 minutes before, 15 minutes before, and once again rewatch this entire bit and maybe get a reinforcement to your learning that what is the primary purpose of data types. I hope all of you have enjoyed this session. We would continue the discussion on data types in our next session. Thank you, everyone.